Hi there, everyone. I'm just going to give it a couple of minutes in case some people are sort of going to join right at the stroke of 6 p.m., but then we'll get started. So. Okay, everyone, why don't we get started? There might be some stragglers who come a couple of minutes late, but I don't want to make you all wait because of them. So my name is Dr. Tanya Kraus, and I am currently serving as the acting dean of the Honors College. Our actual dean is Dr. Jim Buss, and he is currently on a short medical leave, but I am filling in at the moment for him. And I should say a little bit about myself too. So I'm not just the acting dean. I've been a core faculty member in the NKU Honors College since 2018. And usually my job is that I'm the coordinator of the first year experience in the Honors College. So I do a lot of work with first year students. I teach courses to first year students. And really my passion is getting to mentor students through their own research projects. So that's a little bit about sort of my connection to honors in normal times. But right now I'm serving as acting dean. And so that means that I am here with you tonight to talk about NKU honors. So a couple of things before we get started. I am recording this session so that it can be posted on the Honors College YouTube channel. The goal of that is just so that anyone who's not here can get a sense of why honors, which is our theme for tonight. And this is going to be a very informal session. The goal is that if you have questions about the NKU Honors College, I am here to answer them and to give you any kind of insight that you might like into what honors is all about, why you might benefit from participating in honors, why honors can be a really enriching and valuable experience for an undergraduate student at a university like NKU. I should also say, by way of introducing myself as well, part of my passion for honors comes from my own background as a first-generation college student. I actually graduated with my BA in English from Kent State University in Northeast Ohio, and I was an honors college undergraduate. And really, I can't state strongly enough how much honors really changed my life. And I see that transformation happening every day with my students. So I don't want to go on and on, so I will open it up for questions soon. But first, let me just say that the Honors College is an enhancement of whatever major or career path you're going to pursue at NKU. We have students from every major on campus, everything from construction management to theater and dance, from chemistry and pre-med to fine arts. So really it runs the gamut. And really the goal of honors is not to get in the way of those other aspirations. It's really to enrich them. So let me just start then now by opening it up to so that you can ask whatever questions you might have about the Honors College. So you can use the chat to do that, Or if you want to just turn off, I mean, we're not that big of a group. If you want to turn off your mic, if you want to unmute yourself, you can absolutely just talk. So are there questions that brought you here tonight? What do you want to know about the NKU Honors College? Okay, this is a great question. So Isabel asks, what exactly is honors? Is it just harder courses than non-honors courses? So no, that is not just what it is. So the way that the honors curriculum works is that it really hooks into things that happen outside of the classroom that students are passionate about and interested in. So what we really try to create in the NKU Honors College is a sense of community and a sense of belonging at the whole university. And so one of the key aspects to the Honors College that is very different from a lot of students' experiences in high school honors classes is that the classes are really about enhancing that undergraduate experience and giving you new lenses through which to ask big questions, solve big problems, and really tackle things that maybe don't fit neatly into a specific box. So what do I mean when I say that? I can tell you, for example, that I have had first year students in the past do projects about, a question that is like a really big problem like climate change. But so what you might do in an honors class that would be different from an environmental science class is that in an honors class, you might look at public perceptions of climate change. Then you might go and do some research about the science behind it. Then you might talk about your own reflections about climate change. So instead of it being a single perspective, really it's about that three-dimensional approach to problem solving. So the other thing that I'll say is about this question of difficulty or competitiveness. It is not that honors classes are easy in the sense of there's work required, right? What I will say though is that the focus is not on tests. The focus is not on just piling on more and more work. What the focus really is about habits of thought. So taking a unique or unusual approach to a problem that in another context might have only one answer. In honors, we want you to think about all the many answers that you might find. So the difficulty is more about getting yourself out of the box that you're in and taking some intellectual risks and being unafraid to fail and having instructors that are really going to get to know you and really mentor you through those challenges that you might face as an intellectual. Does that help, Isabel, or did that answer your question fully? Yes, okay. Other questions, other things you want to know about? Okay, could you specify how the application process works? Yes. Is it possible to double major? Okay, so I'm going to take both of these questions in turn, okay? So the first one is, could you specify how the application process to the Honors College is different from the general application to NKU? Yes. Okay, so when you apply to NKU, you fill out the standard general application, and that is sort of the first step in applying to the Honors College, if you want to think about it that way. The Honors College application is test blind and GPA blind. So that might be surprising to some of you. You might have thought, oh, you probably have to be a really, straight A student to get into honors, or, oh, I bet I have to have a really high ACT score. We do not use tests or GPA as part of our metric when we look at applications. What you do for us is you write us a couple of essays and you talk about your motivations for why you want to do honors at NKU. And you can find a lot of information about it on our website. So if you go to honors.nku.edu, you can learn all about the opportunities that are available through honors. And so typically students will write about how they see honors contributing to their own ambitions or their own goals as they see them. And so that's one piece of the honors application, is an essay that talks about why honors for you. The next piece of the essay part of things is talking a bit about social responsibility and how you see yourself contributing to the communities in which you're a part. Because it's not just about what honors is going to do for you, it's also about how you're going to give back, right? And then finally, there's a section of the application where you get to just tell us anything you think we might want to know so that we get a better sense of who you are. And students talk about all different kinds of things in the get to know you portion of things. Sometimes they talk about their achievements or about personally meaningful accomplishments that they have. And that's a fine way of using that section. However, sometimes students just tell a funny story, or they talk about how much they love a particular hobby. When we evaluate the applications, what we're really looking for is passion and ambition and being excited about the prospect of having a really enriching and unique experience at the university. And so those are really the things that we look for. And that is where the application process is done. And then basically the way that each application is evaluated, because sometimes students want to know how that works, we do have a rubric that we apply to the essay so that we can kind of see whether you're fully answering the question and whether it's clear that you have a sense of what the Honors College is and can do for you. But there are usually 3 evaluators to each application. And basically those evaluators kind of look at those essays and say sort of who sort of feels like they're going to, really get the most out of honors. And so that's how it works. Students often also ask whether there's a cutoff, like, do we only accept 80 students or something like that? That is not our philosophy. Our philosophy is one of inclusion. And so if you meet our admissions criteria, we send you a letter of acceptance. That is our philosophy of how this should work, that the point of honors is not to exclude people from it or to cut it off at a certain point. Really, what honors should do is it should serve any student who wants to be a part of it. So that is kind of how the application process works. So do you have other questions about the application or what you would need to do if you were interested in honors? Okay, is it possible to join honors after your first year if you don't know? And then I'll get to the double major question. I'm not going to forget that. So is it possible to, oh, there are so many questions. Actually, I'm going to go to the double major one first, just because it was earlier and it's an easy question to ask. Is it possible to double major while in honors? Yes, we have many students who double major. And basically one of the features of the Foundation of Knowledge honors program is that it allows you to complete portions of your general education requirements at the university using honors courses. So you might have some AP or school-based scholar or other college credit that you're coming in with, but oftentimes students do still have courses they need to complete in order to finish up the general education portion of things. So one way to do honors is that it's possible to finish, hold on, I have to do math in my head right now. So 9 and 6, 15 credit hours of your general education requirements can be satisfied through honors. So that's one way that double majoring becomes accessible, is that you're not adding a bunch of credit hours to your degree requirements by doing honors. Also, though, sometimes students come in and they've completed all of their general education requirements because they've had the opportunity to do so as high school students. So we have a really unique first year experience option for those students. And this is also one that students who come in and join honors after their freshman year also get this as a bridge course into the rest of the honors curriculum. There is a course that's only 1 credit hour that can be your first year experience in honors. So if you don't need to finish general education, there is a pathway into honors that you can take. Another thing that we offer is honors enhancements. And honors enhancements mean you can be taking a class in your major, and if you get the permission of your instructor, you can design an enhancement for a course you're already taking and get honors credit for it. So there are a lot of options for students that make it really possible to have more than one major or to have a very high credit hour major and still do honors alongside that. So quickly then, let me talk about, is it possible to join honors? And then I'll sort of, actually, I'll just finish all of these questions and then I'll ask you all for some more. So is it possible to join honors after your first year if you don't know if you are ready yet? Also, are there opportunities for independent or group research in honors? Yes, 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 yes to all those things. So a lot of students actually come to honors a little bit after their first semester. Basically, when you apply or when you express interest in honors, when you apply to honors, basically you get on a mailing list that we have, and we welcome you to come back to us if you decide, maybe I can't do it this year. You can always come back to us at a later time and engage with the college, either through one of the sort of larger honors programs, but also any student at the institution can take honors courses. So there are lots of different ways to engage with the honors college. So if you aren't sure that you want to do an honors minor, or you're not sure that you want to fulfill general education requirements with honors, you can absolutely return to us and find a way in either in your second semester or your second year or even beyond that. So don't think that that's impossible. You absolutely don't need to make that decision your very first semester, or it's not that high stakes of a thing. You can come to us at any time and we will welcome you. So that's number one. The second thing is independent or group research opportunities. So many of our students participate in undergraduate research that's affiliated with honors, but also undergraduate research outside of the honors college that we help to facilitate. So the first year experience in honors, which is my baby, is really oriented around student research. So let me tell you a bit about my Honors 101 course, because I think it's a good example. My students are about to embark on a team research project. So I divide the class, so it's a class of 16, 17 students, into about 4 groups. So they're groups of 3 or 4 students. And students design a small research project from beginning to end, and basically do all of the components together. And they have to have a project manager on the team. They have to have someone who's responsible for document design. Basically everyone has to have responsibilities. So it's really about teaching excellent collaboration skills. That is one of the things that we care a great deal about in the Honors College. So that's an example of something my students are doing in week 5 of their first semester. Also, in the first year, there is a first year student research conference. That student research conference includes every single first year student in the Honors College. and everyone is on a program and presents their research as if they are professionals going to a conference. And so it gives you public speaking experience. It gives you experience in how to disseminate the research that you're doing. And a lot of times students talk about that as probably the most transformative thing they do in the classroom in the first year. And we cancel a week of class for it. It's a big deal. It's pretty awesome. Then the bookend to that first year experience where you learn all about research is the capstone experience. So in their final semesters, honors students have the opportunity to complete a capstone project of their own design. Typically, they will identify a mentor either in their major or minor. That's the most common thing. Sometimes they'll identify someone else, but usually it's someone from their major or minor. And basically they complete their own independent research, and they they either go to a professional conference or present their research at the celebration of student research and creative activity on campus. So that is the sort of culminating experience of honors. Students also sometimes do research projects for that capstone experience that are public in nature. So community outreach projects, doing activism type work in the community can be something that students do. We've had students who have basically built a business plan and gone into business for themselves. We've had students do art projects. So there are a lot of different ways to conceive of the capstone. Also, though, a lot of students do research with faculty members, whether it's working with one of your professors in their lab, if you're in the sciences, or I know I have taken honors students in the past to research conferences that are about literary study. So I've taken students to professional conferences with me and they've presented their research. So there are a lot of ways to get engaged in research at Northern Kentucky University, and honors is one hub that can really help you find those resources and make those connections. So that is that answer. Okay, goodness, you all have so many questions. All right, this is great. I'm so glad. All right, so is there a workload difference between the content in a regular college class larger? So what are some examples of what honors students can do rather than taking the normal college route? Okay, this is a great question. So one of the things you'll often find in classes outside of honors is that they follow a pretty typical structure, that you might have, 3 tests and a final might be the way you demonstrate your learning in that class. Or if you're in a more essay-based discipline, you might have, 2 short essays, 1 test, and a large final paper. But it's a pretty consistent structure. One of the things you'll find in the Honors College is that a lot of times assignments are a little bit more open-ended and that you get a lot more control over how you engage with the material. You also may find that what you're being asked to do sometimes is a little bit weird or not as standard. It's very unusual in an honors class for there to be a test. Or if it is a test, it's a different kind of test. So here's an example. One of the classic honors courses that has been taught by a faculty member in psychology for years is a drug policy course. And the final in that course that she has students do when she teaches it is basically that you are a drug czar. So you are the person who's in charge of solving the drug problem in Northern Kentucky or in the United States, right? And you need to basically go through and lay out your evidence for the policy that you would create that is going to alleviate the drug crisis. So if you think about historically, people have tried to solve the drug crisis in a lot of ways, right? Whether it's say no to drugs, so a campaign like that, or they've tried to solve it through incarceration, or they've tried to solve it through rehab. Like, so there are all of these options, right? But basically, the way you demonstrate your learning in that class is not by taking a multiple choice test and proving you read a bunch of stuff. The way you demonstrate your learning is you apply what you've learned to create your own plan. So that's a classic honors assignment, I think. So what I would say is, in terms of workload, the difference as I would describe it is that probably there's a higher expectation of engagement and creativity. So that is maybe a little bit more intense than what you might get in a class where you can just kind of kick back and memorize some stuff. However, what I would also say is, if you are excited by the prospect of that, it doesn't feel like work, it feels like something fun to do. The other thing I'll say is that you're surrounded by students who are just as engaged as you are and who are just as ambitious as you are. And so one of the exciting things about honors is it creates this community within the university of people who have a shared passion for learning. And I think a lot of times students often will talk to me about how honors feels like it clicks with them in a way that their high school experiences maybe didn't, in that it feels like not like it's a bad thing to be excited about ideas, because everybody around you is excited about ideas too. So honors can really be a hub in that way for a lot of students. And it's not all academics. I mean, honor students have a lot of fun together too. And the Honor Student Association does a lot of fun activities, and they go to events, and they do different things that are more social. Um, but I think the biggest difference probably is that sense of community that comes from honors. I will also say that I think one of the things that happens for honor students that maybe is a little unusual for a lot of first year students is that honor students really get to know the faculty, and they really have a group of people who are there to help them with any question they might have. So the way that the honors suite is set up is that the dean's office, the acting dean's office in this case, but all of our offices surround a lounge where students do homework, where they hang out between classes, where they're just always there and welcome. And so what that means is that if you have an advising question, the advisor is right there. If you have a problem that you need to talk to your instructor about with getting an assignment in or something, that instructor is right there. If you have a question about how to do something at the university with financial aid or something like that, you can ask the dean, you can ask one of the professors who just happens to be hanging out. A lot of times for students at a larger university, you can sometimes feel like you're just a number, or you can feel like no one really knows you. I can tell you that in honors, I know my students, and I think that is a huge difference. So let me get on to more questions. I'm waxing poetic about all of this stuff. Let's see here. So our next question is from Soleila. Okay, so how do the relationships that students have with professors differ from a student that's not in the Honors College program? On a large campus, would being in the Honors College help students benefit from closer connections with faculty? I kind of already answered that, even though I didn't look at the question until right now. I will say one more thing, though, about that question about connecting with faculty. I think one thing that really contributes to the way that faculty can connect with students in honors is the fact that our class sizes are small. So really this semester, I want to say 17 is my largest class that I have right now. And that's a pretty typical class size in honors. I was actually just talking to my first year students about this very thing on Monday, and I asked a bunch of them, I asked them, I said, how many, is this your smallest class? And about 3/4 of the class said that, oh yes, this is my smallest class. I can also tell you that last year during COVID, when things were sort of strange because a lot of classes were online or just didn't necessarily have as much engagement, I had a number of my first year students say to me that if it weren't for my class, they wouldn't have made any friends in their first year. And so there's a real emphasis on that community building, not just between faculty member and student, but between students too. So, um, but yes, I think on a large campus, the Honors College can really help you get to know faculty much more quickly. The other thing too is that if you're interested in something, sometimes we can connect you with a faculty mentor outside of the Honors College who can help you to do the thing you're trying to do, and that can be exciting too. So um, during, I guess it was a couple of years ago now, I did the learning community for students who were interested in pre-law. So one of their assignments, I actually had students working in teams and they got to work with a faculty mentor from Chase Law School that I connected the students with. And a lot of my students talk about that as being one of the most transformative things of their first year. Some of them decided not to be lawyers once they talked to that person. But it was really exciting, and also we can connect students with people in the community who can serve as mentors for them. So we do a lunch and learn series where students get to meet people who are doing the jobs that they imagine themselves doing when they're done with graduation. We've had everyone from, people working in the medical field to activists to, I invited last year a former student of mine who worked for 2 years in Indonesia in the Peace Corps. So all of these connections are available to you through the Honors College. All right, so I feel like I'm reading all of your minds. But so what are the benefits of taking honors? Are the classes for Honors College made up of students with the same majors, or is it a combination of fields? So the answer to that is it depends. Okay. So we do in the first year have a series of learning communities that students can opt into. And some of those are pre-professional, so often are populated with students who are in the same majors. So for example, there's a nursing learning community for students who are planning to major in nursing. And that can be kind of nice because it means that you meet a bunch of people in your major on day one, right? Other learning communities that we have are focused more around an interest than necessarily a career path. So for example, I'm doing one right now that I've been doing pretty consistently, that's a social justice learning community. And there are students from a lot of different majors in that course. However, they all are similarly interested in issues about justice and how to get it, right? So sometimes it's a common interest that brings you together in honors, and sometimes it's your major. However, though, I will say that even in classes that are populated by a fair number of students from a particular major. So for example, a lot of times students who are in the sciences might need to fulfill some of their more humanities or art type general education requirements. So right now I'm teaching a class called Citizens of the World that is about literature, art, music, all of that kind of stuff. And a lot of the students are from outside of literature, art, and the music and all of those kinds of things. However, there still are a bunch of different majors in that class. We have computer science, business, accounting, um, chemistry, biology. I mean, so even though all of those students are not necessarily as comfortable with the arts as maybe an English major might be, there still is diversity even within that group. So you'll get to know a lot of different kinds of people. I mean, that's one of the exciting things, I think, is being in small classes with people who are not necessarily doing exactly what you do. If you apply to honors and you feel like you can't handle the rigor, can you drop back to a traditional college setting? Yes, you can. Absolutely. Or you might just decide that you sort of you did as much as you wanted to do in your first year and you got that experience and you're done with it. You can absolutely do that. So the only thing that I would say is if you start off in Honors 101, which cover like Honors 101 and Honors 102, cover your written and oral general education requirement. Okay. And you have to take both of them to complete the requirement. So it is the case that if you took Honors 101, I would encourage you to take Honors 102 just to get that done, right? But you don't have to. So this is the thing though, you are not signing on the dotted line in blood. You are not committed for life if you apply to honors. And even if you get in and you decide to start in honors, you can absolutely pull back from honors if it's not working for you. And so the thing is, there's really no downside to applying, you know. And the other thing that I would say too is that we do have, I mean, there are more webinars in this series that are going to talk about some of the other aspects of honors. Also, there's a big event in the spring called The Voyage, where students who are uncertain about whether it's for them can come and kind of get a face-to-face sense of what the faculty are like, what students are like, all of those things. So don't feel as if you need to decide just because you're talking to me today. There's time. You can figure this out. And the thing is, even if you decide to try honors out and it's not for you, you can absolutely decide to do something else. I mean, that is something that happens. So let's see here. How do you apply? Do you apply on the common application with NKU? All right, I'm going to quickly share my screen. And all right, now I can share my screen because I have the right screen up. I didn't want to show you all of my sad email. All right, so let me share my screen. And what you'll see right here is the Honors College website. So if you type in honors.nku.edu, it'll get you there. And basically, the very first thing you see on the page when you go to that homepage is apply now for fall 2022. So you apply to NKU using the common NKU application, okay? And then you go to the Honors College website and you click on apply now for fall 2022. And you'll see there's this section that asks you for information, your birth date, what high school you go to, you know, what type of student are you at NKU, all of those kinds of things. And then we ask you for some information. So what's your academic area of interest? So what do you think you might major in? Also, you don't have to know. You can say, I don't know, you know, undeclared, right? You can also list your extracurricular activities. You can also select from a list of learning communities that we often offer, and you'll see there are a lot of different ones here. So arts and entertainment, community engagement, entrepreneurship, film and literature, first generation college student, leadership. So lots of different things that you might find engaging. And then you can also check off other activities that you're interested in at NKU. So things like study abroad or undergraduate research, various things like that. And part of the reason that we ask you to check off those other things is because we have relationships with these other opportunities on campus. And so that gives us a sense of how we can serve the students who apply, okay? So then there are the application essays. And so the application essays, as I sort of talked about, are really sort of straightforward, and each one is up to 750 words, so they're not super long. But so the Honors College invests numerous resources in helping our students be successful. How will you take advantage of the resources we have? So we expect you to sort of actually identify what you think we can do for you. The next thing is we want to encourage you to develop a sense of personal and social responsibility. So how will you contribute? And then finally, describe a time you, oh, this is actually an extra question I forgot about. Describe a time you faced a challenge, failure, or unexpected setback. What did you learn about yourself? And then finally, is there anything else you'd want for us to know? So fun facts, an accomplishment you're proud of, an interesting experience, something that motivates you, what you hope to get out of college. It can really be anything. So that is the application. And then you hit submit. And that is sort of all you need to do in order to apply. So let me unshare so that I can see the chat better again. So, I hope that helped. Let's see here. Okay, so let's see here. Are there science and lab learning communities in the Honors College? So there are, there is a track through honors in sort of the middle of the curriculum that is for the sciences, but it oftentimes addresses an audience that tends not to be science majors. However, we are working on getting more things that directly target students who are in the science, well, STEM more broadly, but in the sciences, in technology, in math. So we're working with our partners in the colleges in the departments of chemistry and biology to welcome them to teach honors courses for our students. Also, computer science, we now have a faculty fellow in computer science. So yes, those things are in the works, and also there are opportunities even that exist now, but we're expanding them, I guess is what I'm saying. So yes, those opportunities are there. And also remember, there is that honors enhancement option. So like if you were taking organic chemistry and you just were super obsessed with it and you wanted to have an honors experience in organic chemistry, we could help you to get that. So it might not be the same thing as a full honors class, but it would be working directly with a faculty mentor and having that experience. Are you able to be part of multiple learning communities, or are there opportunities to collaborate with students in other learning communities? Well, so you can't be in multiple ones at the exact same time because you are only one person. However, you are not, just as you are not, signing a contract in blood when you apply to the Honors College, you're also not contractually obligated to stay in the same learning community throughout the academic year. So a lot of times students will switch. So for example, you might be someone who is interested in, both social justice and nursing. Well, you don't need to choose between the two for your entire first year. You can do one learning community in the fall and then move to another learning community in the spring. So that option is there. Oh, also, I should say this, there's also the option to take Honors 101 and 102 just as general classes that are not necessarily with a learning community. So if you're not into the learning community thing, you don't have to do it. Then when it comes to collaborating with students in other learning communities or just kind of connecting with them, that's where I think our Lunch and Learn series is really unbelievable, because what it does is it brings in speakers that might connect to a particular learning community, but that students from other learning communities will also be interested in. So for example, one of the speakers that I'm bringing in this time around is from the Ion Center for Violence Prevention in Northern Kentucky. So a center that really works with people who are experiencing domestic violence or are in dangerous situations, and attempts to give those folks the support services that they need, right? So basically, yes, of course, that's interesting for social justice purposes, but it's also interesting for students who are in pre-med. It's also interesting for students who are interested in social work or nonprofit stuff. So the Lunch and Learns really brings together students from across the different learning communities, and that's where that extra experience is really enriching, and it allows students to get out of their classroom and into a broader community of honors. When is the application due? You ask a great question. I believe that, okay, so, well, all right, so this is the thing that I can tell you right off the bat. What I can tell you is that I know the app, like, so the application is, we do have rolling applications, okay? But if you want to be eligible for sort of any scholarship support, if you want to be sort of in that first admissions pool, basically the deadline is the same as the NKU scholarship deadline. And I want to say it's January 15th, but I don't remember off the top of my head. I'll know at our next webinar. I apologize for not knowing that off the top of my head. It is because I am the acting dean and not the actual dean. So, but I believe it's January 15th. I think that's correct. Um, all right, so let's see here. Are there any other questions that you have? Or concerns? Concerns are possible too. You're all very quiet. This reminds me of teaching during COVID with my black boxes of people I don't know. All right, so what's my favorite part about working with the Honors College? So my favorite part of working with the Honors College is, I mean, this is going to sound so cliche. You all aren't going to believe me, but I promise you it's true. It's honestly the connections that I make with students. It's the fact that I have students who come into my office and who just want to tell me about their lives even after I'm not their professor anymore. You know, that was one of the things that I missed a lot during, you know, the past 18 months or so, was that I'm the kind of professor who has students in my office all the time. And, you know, it was a bummer, like, to go into the honor suite and have to close my door and not to have just, you know, silly conversations about things, you know, or just to talk to students about how they're doing and what's going on in their lives. For me, that really is the number one. The other thing, though, that I'll say that's a little bit less warm and fuzzy and more academic is I am always really, really impressed with how creative my students are in solving problems and how dedicated they are to thinking and to the work they're doing. And that is such a pleasure as a teacher, to work with students that are really engaged. And so, and I'm not only talking about students being high achieving, or the kind of students who get good grades. It's not about the grades. It's about the passion that's there. So even when a student maybe doesn't do their best work, the idea that they care about doing interesting things matters. So the admission process, what goes into the decisions of accepting a student? I will tell you that the first and most important thing is that you should have looked at the website and actually identified things that seem cool about this for you. If what you write is, I think this will be very prestigious and important, that tells me that you have an idea that is not coming from everything that we're trying to communicate to you. We're not necessarily interested in people being highfalutin. I don't know. So really do look at the website, see if this is for you. See if you think it's going to give you experiences that you want to have in the next 4 years. And if you have questions, reach out to the Honors College. I mean, you can always, and I'll actually type my email address in the chat. If you ever have questions, you can, of course, always email me. Also, you can always email our admissions coordinator, Brittany Beal, as well. And you should have her email from messages that have gone out from the Honors College. And so you can absolutely always contact us and we will answer any questions that you have. But so what goes into accepting a student? First, know about us. Know what sort of honors is about. The second thing is know what you're about. What do you care about? What's interesting to you? And it doesn't have to be something that's super fancy. It might be, I'm super into anime, or I'm super into, I don't know, knitting. I mean, I'm into knitting, but I'm weird. Anyway, but so it can be anything, but we want to know you, and we don't want to feel like you're trying to impress us. Like, we want to actually get to know you, and we're excited to know you. And so those are kind of the two things, is one, do you know us? And two, do you know yourself? And, and then finally, probably, does it seem like you want to take advantage of the opportunities that honors can give you? And those are really the primary things that we're worried about. I mean, obviously, it's nice if you edit and proofread your essays. As an English professor, I will say I enjoy reading complete sentences, but I will also say we're not grading your writing. That's not what we care about, is what you're saying. And that's the most important thing. So I don't want you to work yourself up and think that you have to be a Pulitzer Prize winning author to come to honors. You don't. We really just want to get to know you through the application and see whether, it seems like we would be a good fit for you. So are there any other final questions? We're nearing the end of our time together. All right, I'm not, if you have one, keep typing and hit send. But one other thing I'll say is, if you go on a tour of NKU's campus, come by the Honors College Suite. We're on the tour. So if you see me, say hello. I won't know who you are because you're just a black square to me. But anyway, but really do come in, and if you see me, say hello, because I will be happy to talk to you. So all right. Well, with that, there is another webinar coming in a couple of weeks, and I don't have in front of me what the topic is, but you'll get something about it. But so there's another one coming, and so there will be more information in these webinars over the next while. So come to more. If you have more questions, once you look at the website, absolutely feel free to attend. And again, we'll have all of those up for viewing on our YouTube channel too. So, oh, you're welcome, Isabel. And thank you all for coming. I was worried no one would be here. So I am happy that you all had questions, and I hope I get to meet you. So, all right, everyone, have a good evening, okay?
Thank you. Have a good day.
Oh, you too.